I wasn't sure if I wanted to make this video or not, as I feel like it might fan some flames when my intention is to make some clarifications and defend myself against certain accusations. But what the hell, I'd rather hash problems out rather than let them linger and take a life of their own. So a few days ago, I uploaded a video about Star Wars Battlefront 2's recent update, detailing the cost and grind required to unlock the game's new appearances. I displayed the following stats in which I calculated how obtaining every single appearance would require you to earn 785,000 credits, which is about 392.5 hours worth of grind, or 20,150 credits, which is around $201.50 worth of expenditure. Now, a few hours after the video went up, I decided to delete it because of the feedback that I got from my community, who brought up a number of good points. For example, these calculations assume that players earn on average 500 credits per Galactic Assault match, or about 2,000 credits per hour, but I failed to mention other factors like daily login rewards, challenges, and whatnot that hand out additional credits. Granted, there is only so much that these things will speed up your progress. It's still going to be a couple hundred hours worth of grind for newcomers to unlock everything. If you've been playing the game consistently since launch though, you probably already have plenty of credits to spend on many of these appearances. Plus, at the end of the day, the game now does allow players to earn everything that they can purchase with real money by just playing the game. It may still be a slow climb to get there, but it's very doable for avid players and none of it impacts the competitive balance of the game. Furthermore, players can opt to pick and choose their preferred appearances for the hero characters or classes that they favor, so they might get everything they want within the first 100 hours of gameplay or even less. While my stance on the inclusion of microtransactions in $60 games hasn't changed, the facts still remain that my video didn't make the best of arguments for my stance, so ultimately I decided it wasn't worth having around. Now, after I deleted the video, I began to notice a lot of activity over my Twitter page, instigated by user Battlefront Update, who tweeted about me being back at it again with bullshit clickbait videos and whatnot. Didn't really know who he was until now, but he's apparently a content creator whose videos focus on Star Wars Battlefront 2 news updates and gameplay. Now, to some extent, I get that he'd be upset because his content creation relies on Star Wars Battlefront, but his knee-jerk reaction to take to insults didn't really allow me to take this seriously. So I didn't exactly know what his problem was, but I figured he had similar sentiments to the feedback I got from my community in that I didn't make the best of arguments for my stance for the particular video, so I was like, alright, whatever, let him vent. I will say though, if Battlefront 2 was actually free to play and had 5 times as much content, the game wouldn't be in the precarious position it's currently in now, would it? Hell, if EA decided to update Battlefront 2 to be free to play, I would give EA nothing but compliments, as long as there was no caveats attached to that, but one can dream. Anyway, after I deleted the video, Battlefront Updates then tweeted about how I deleted the video, not sure if to insinuate that he had something to do with it. He didn't. The more collected, constructive feedback from segments of my own community was really all I needed, but regardless, I figured that would be the end of that. Then I noticed a significant amount of people tweeting at me about how I stole content. That's when I noticed that Battlefront Updates had also tweeted, quote, "Of course he couldn't be bothered to record some gameplay in the menu himself either, but he just steals some from Azatru without credit." So this Azatru fellow is also a Battlefront 2 content creator, albeit with a smaller following. Azatru himself had tweeted, quote, "So Yongya stole my gameplay and used it in a video blasting the new system when compared to other games. It ain't really that expensive, he's deleted the video." This was later retweeted by Battlefront Updates, who has a bigger following, so that led to even more people going out of their way to tweet at me about how I stole content. Now, before I continue, I would like to show you the segment of my deleted video featuring the gameplay clip in question. Here it is. They didn't have to grind for hundreds of hours if they didn't shell out extra cash. Well, that question has been answered today with the update adding Crystal's premium currency finally going live, and I'm afraid it's not an answer you're gonna like. I'd like to begin by crunching some numbers. There are 3 types of appearances in Battlefront 2. I'd like to note that the whole clip was maybe 15 seconds seconds long with my own commentary and criticism added over it before transitioning into the still images with all the calculations and whatnot. The narrative out there right now is that I allegedly stole content, so I had to delete the video out of fear that I might get a copyright strike. So first things first, as I said before, I deleted the video after reading some of the more constructive feedback from my own community. I wasn't fearing for legal repercussions and didn't even know that these accusations were floating around until after I deleted the video and after I checked my Twitter feed. But more importantly, the notion that showing a 15-second clip with my own commentary overlaid, a very short segment of the original 8 minutes long video, constitutes as stealing content or as taking their work and copying it as my own or whatever, is utterly misguided. If anyone honestly thinks that constitutes as stealing or copyright infringement, then you're not familiar with fair use. YouTube has an entire page dedicated to the topic, and I'd like to read you some excerpts that will hopefully set the record straight. It reads, quote, "Fair use is a legal doctrine that says you can reuse copyright-protected material under certain circumstances without getting permission from the copyright owner. For example, in the United States, works of commentary, criticism, research, teaching, or news reporting might be considered fair use. Courts typically focus on whether the use is transformative, that is, whether it adds new expression or meaning to the original, or whether it merely copies from the original. Commercial uses are less likely to be considered fair, though it's possible to monetize a video and still have one's usage be a fair use. Borrowing small bits of material from an original work is more likely to be considered fair use than borrowing large portions. However, even a small taking may weigh against fair use in some situations if it constitutes the heart of the work. With that in mind, let me ask you from what you saw, did my video provide commentary, criticism, research, teaching, or news reporting over the used clip? Did my video add new expression or meaning to the original content rather than merely copy it? Did my video borrow small bits of the original work rather than large chunks of it? I believe that the answer to all these questions is a resounding yes. The way I used 15 seconds of Azatru's 8 minutes long video falls under the umbrella of fair use. Whereas his video was about showing off the new features of Battlefront 2's latest update, my usage of the short clip and still images was a means to convey my own thoughts on the matter of the Battlefront 2 update and the cost of its various appearances. Similarly, if somebody took clips of one of my videos and made it their own by adding their own commentary, criticism, what have you, that would also fall under the umbrella of fair use. It would be silly for me in that scenario to pursue that and claim that my content was stolen. Now, what are some of the things that might invalidate fair use? Well, according to the guidelines, quote, uses that harm the copyright owner's ability to profit from his or her original work are less likely to be fair uses. Uses that do not comment on or criticize the content used and that instead serve as a substitute for the original work are unlikely to be considered fair uses. So let me ask you, did my use of the clip in any way harm the creator's ability to profit from his content? Did I neglect to add my own commentary or criticism over the short clip that I used to express something completely different from the original video's content and intent? I believe that the answer to both questions are a resounding no. You can criticize me, disagree with me, or hate me all you want. Your opinions are your own and I'm fine with that. But if you're going to boldly claim that I stole content, you better have a good case before you make such grave accusations, because otherwise you're setting a very dangerous precedent. It's stuff like this that paves the way for things like the whole fiasco with H3H3, who was sued by YouTuber Matt Hosszone for allegedly infringing copyright by using clips from one of Matt's videos without permission for the purposes of commentary and criticism. In the end, the courts ruled that H3H3 did not infringe any copyright, that he used the clips in such a way that it fell under the umbrella of fair use. And keep in mind that the clips that H3H3 used were from actual original content by Matt, and even then H3H3 won his case. The clips I used was gameplay from a game that Azratu doesn't even own, as he himself is exercising fair use to produce his content. I'm all for being criticized or being called out or whatever if there's substance behind it. God knows I have made my fair share of mistakes, as I am human, and I do my best to rectify them. But what's being instigated here isn't criticism, it's not constructive, It feels more like exploitation of false accusations that comes from a place of contempt. If you genuinely believe that showing a 15-second clip for purposes of criticism and commentary is stealing, then you don't believe in fair use and you don't believe in the very platform that so many of us YouTubers rely on. Would it have helped my case if I had added the YouTuber's name in the description or something along those lines? Sure, I can certainly admit that. But did I steal content, infringe copyright, or need permission to use the short clip in question the way I used it? Hell no. Now, the purpose of this video isn't to cause conflict between me and other content creators. I don't know Battlefront Updates or Azatru personally. They might be nice people in person. I have nothing against their content. I have nothing against people who enjoy Battlefront 2 if that's their thing. I wish them good luck in their future endeavors, and I feel for them that the game their channels are so based on and focused on hasn't thrived in a way that they might have liked it to. We have different viewpoints. They are quick to forgive Battlefront 2's misgivings, whereas I'm still very apprehensive about what the future holds for EA, whether this is a genuine gesture, but I don't share contempt for those who disagree with me. I also cannot say that I 100% handled the situation in the best way possible, as I did go on a bit of a blocking spree on Twitter because I was so stressed out from having to finish the God of War review on time and just didn't want all that distraction at the time. After I published the review though, I did have time to finally take a breath and realize that's not the best way to handle things, so I did unblock everyone and let them have their say, and I let myself move on. But that still didn't make for the best of impressions, so I'll own up to that. But at the same time, I'm not going to let anyone spread the absurd notion that I'm stealing other people's videos so that they can tarnish my intentions. And look, if I did cause harm by using the 15 seconds clip from that video, I sincerely apologize. That was certainly not my intention, but at the same time, I do feel like spreading this information that this guy steals video, steals content, is completely absurd when you actually look at how the clip was used. I'm not saying this to insult or demean any of these guys, but rather to set the record straight in my own defense, which I think is only fair. That's all I have to say about the matter. I do ask that those watching this don't go to their channels or whatever and start any trouble. As far as Battlefront content goes, they do seem to do good work, so if you're into that, check them out. My hope is that after this, we can all just go our separate ways and move on to greener pastures, even if we do so with opposite viewpoints. And I hope we can do so in a way that's at least respectful to each other. We can disagree, but it doesn't have to resort to these insults, this instigating of hatred or contempt from one community to another. That's just me though. I don't know. I think I've said everything I need to say, so we'll see what happens. With that, I will see you guys next time. Yong out.